You are listening to another AlwaysMoto production. The AlwaysMoto podcast with your host, David Hogan. We talk moto events from around the world. All the injuries, all the training ins and outs, the bikes, parts and gear inspections. The results, we interview your favourite riders. It's the AlwaysMoto podcast. We occasionally have some coarse language and the odd stuff up along the way. If you don't like it or you don't agree with us, turn it off right now.
I'd like to remind you that he is not a doctor.
That's right, Moto fans. Episode 157 is getting underway of the AlwaysMoto podcast. We are recording in video. Unfortunately, we are not live. I've just about ready to walk into traffic, as you'll find out later, because we can't seem to get that one to work. But this episode of the podcast is proudly presented by technicmotorsport.com. We're going to bring in our man here, the AlwaysMoto contractor, Ben Grinly. How are we doing, Benny?
I'm all right. I'm here.
Yeah.
It's here. It's time.
Yeah. It's Australian Supercross Boost Mobile Australian Supercross Championship. It's the preview show we're trying to put together here. We'll get to all things Australian Supercross here very, very shortly, but something that all of these riders in the Supercross are going to have in common here, Benny, they have suspension on their bikes, and if they don't, something really weird's going on. But if they've got suspension on their bike, they're most likely using KYB or Showa, and they have an Australian distributor, and that is technicmotorsport.com. So why would you use non-genuine seals, bushes, wipers, all those sorts of consumable parts when genuine's available? They perform better and they are only a day away. Head to technicmotorsport.com and order all those KYB and genuine Showa parts. Everything. They can also get your A-kit suspension. Technic has it. So check them out. They ship daily. They have a shipping calculator on the website. It's a pretty good thing. Now, our other sponsors here on the show, and you can check out all of these in the show notes or on our link in our bio on our social pages, but Duramoose, Pivot Pegs, Competitive Edge Performance, and Tech 167 3D Printing, they're all on board. We do have our t-shirts. Benny, I'm rocking my t-shirt. I've actually got some new ones down on the floor here that have turned up yesterday ready for Supercross for us to wear. So we're going to look sharp. But if you want one of these t-shirts, $25 will get you one, plus postage and handling, info@alwaysmoto.com. And that will get you one if you email us that. Payments via PayPal. We do have a donate on PayPal that you can use there to help support the show. Maybe you can just stop me from walking into traffic. Maybe we can donate via doing that. But let's stop laughing, Benny. Let's get into the talk this Boost Mobile Supercross.
I'll just take it off your body.
All right. Boost Mobile Australian Supercross presented by Monster Energy. There's enough sponsors with this series, mate, that keep getting announced. It's quite the mouthful to get there through the entrance. Boost Mobile Australian Supercross presented by Monster Energy. Not to mention Yamaha, KTM, DeWalt, Shannon's Insurance. Mate, the list of sponsors, they should have the most amazing event going because of these sponsors that are going to be attending.
Yeah, it's really good to have all these.
I've just sat here just absolutely fuming. Still recording. We are still recording. Everybody going to see this. I'm just about done with trying to make a production on video because I am going to literally go and shoot something, I think. It's insane how much stress this is causing me. Audio I had completely dialed. This streaming bullshit is a nightmare. But anyway, Benny, you literally said 3 words and cut out.
Let's just not forget that we've been sitting here for an hour and I didn't cut out once. It just didn't want to work.
I don't know what to tell you. I honestly don't know what to tell you. I've got so much shit running to try and make this work. I had so much shit installed and I still can't get it to work. So I'm doing something wrong and I don't know what it is. But anyway, the sponsors of this Supercross, go. See how long you can last before it cuts out.
It's good. It's good to have more sponsors. It's been a little bit bare the last few years. Not too bad, but I think when you have someone like Monster Energy, it just makes it feel that little bit more special. I guess we're sort of all accustomed to seeing that in the US Supercross, but it just, it sort of makes it feel a bit more special and stands out more on race weekend, more activations from more sponsors. So I think it's really good.
Look, I'm just hoping to get a free can of Monster each weekend. That'll be a plus for me. If that's not possible, I'm going to wonder what this Monster Energy sponsorship's doing. But that's what I'll be looking out for. So anyone in AME, just point me towards the Monster stand so that I can get a free can. I'll be stoked. And we'll shout out Monster, presented by Monster Energy, every single episode. I'll be happy.
Well, you got to think back to the end of World Supercross in 23. They couldn't get rid of them quick enough at the end of the night.
Well, that was only CDA
in the middle of the.
That was only CDA Yamaha, and I literally got handed two of them, so I just stuck them in both back pockets and said thank you and kept going. So
yeah. No doubt. I'm sure they'll have some.
Well, let's hope so, because otherwise that'll be my Dave's diatribe next week if I'm still here and I haven't walked into traffic. All right, let's get to the racing side of things. We're going to go sort of work through our teams here, our main teams on our way down. We're going to start with Honda Racing Australia because obviously they are the reigning champs across just about everything in Australian Moto at the moment, but they were for last year as well. Let's talk about their lineup this year in the 450 side of things. They do not have the defending champion, Joey Savacci, racing this series. He's going to be riding for them for the World Supercross. So we'll get to that when we talk World Supercross stuff in another show. But instead, they've got the previous year's champ, the number 15, Dean Wilson, returning. He got second last year, the winner the year before. But joining him in the 450 class is going to be the number 2, Cedric Soubeyras, the Frenchman.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Dino, has won the title and surely will want that number 1 plate back. But Cedric's no slouch.
Yeah, I'm. This is interesting for me. I'm torn between these two, and pretty much these two for being my championship pick. Right, for a couple of reasons. One, Dean Wilson, back in his day, was another level. He's a podium guy in AMA Supercross. He probably should have won AMA 450s if not for all his knee injuries. Now, that's the if that I've got and the but that I've got when I talk about him for this one. He's coming in a bit underwhelmingly injured recently. He's had some runs with some of these other events. He didn't do so well in Super Motocross because of a knee that he hurt in that Brazilian race that he did. I just don't know how prepared Dino is, and maybe that will be answered really quickly when we see him at Redcliffe this weekend and he ends all the doubt. But if he is anywhere near what his 100% is now, fitness-wise, he's your champ at the end of this. But if he's not, if he's struggling and just managing his way through, I think Cedric could be I think he could be the champ. He's quite possible, more than capable.
Yeah, it's a hard one, like you said. I think the 450s will be a lot closer than other years, and I think there's going to be they're all going to be close. So it's sort of hard for me at the moment to pick someone. I think, but like I said, Cedric's no slouch, and you could be right on the money.
Yeah, he's sneaky good, particularly in these non-American races when he's doing French championships and all those sorts of things. He's actually quite good, so I feel like he's not coming here to get second. So we'll see how that goes. CDR Monster Energy Yamaha 450 team. 3 riders this year. 1 Australian. Unfortunately, Jed Beaton's out for the Supercross series with that fractured femur recovery that he's going through. But we've got 2 American imports. So we've got Aaron Tanti, the number 9, the Aussie. We've got the 29 of Phil Nicoletti and the 86 of Mitchell Harrison. There could be some podiums and some wins from these 3 guys. I'd be looking for Phil to be the possible championship guy, but I feel that he's a manager of a championship, not a lead from the front in a championship. And when this is 5 rounds and 5 rounds only, I don't know if he's got enough wins under his belts to get to the top of this championship tree.
Yeah, he needs to perform on the 450. We sort of haven't really seen him on the 450 in Supercross that much. I think you're on the money with being in the championship, but I think it'll only be podiums. I can't see a win.
He might get one, but I don't think he
hopefully-
gets enough to be the champ.
Yeah. And hopefully Tanti just gets through a season clean, no injuries, and just finish it. That's what I think everyone wants to see.
It's a harsh but fair comment there. Unfortunately, Tanti's run recently, as much as he did pretty much the whole season last year, he crashed himself a lot. And prior to that, with his couple of runs there in the US, attempts at the US, lots of injuries. Didn't finish the previous year's attempts at Australian or World Supercross there because he got stuck in Dubai after collapsing a bunch of ribs and a lung. So, not great. Mitchell Harrison, for me, is an interesting one. I'm not sure how well he's going to go on the Yamaha, having been on Cowies for the last few years. But he could be, a regular podium guy. He could get a win as well. I just don't know what to expect from Mitchell Harrison. So I'm interested to see what he's like round 1, 2, because unfortunately, you've got to start this series pretty quickly with a double header there. You can get yourself behind in the points with only 3 rounds after that to make that up and to make many changes in terms of your setup and whatnot. If you're not spot on now, you're probably not going to be after the 5 rounds. You'll still be looking for it, I'd say.
Yeah, and you only got to look back to round 1 last year with the Honda 250 boys were on the podium the first night, and then McElrath wasn't anywhere near the podium. And then the next night he just clean swept everything pretty much, and the other boys weren't anywhere to be seen. So it changes quickly.
Yeah, it definitely does. Now, we've moved down to Empire Kawasaki. They've got 2 riders in the 450 class, both Aussies, the number 4 of Luke Clout and the number 102 of Matt Moss returning to the team after his unfortunate issues stint last year with CDR Yamaha. He had just a shocking season last year, coming in with maybe a bit too much pressure on Matt Moss last year to try and be the guy to beat the Americans, and he just unfortunately fell apart, let's say.
Yeah, Wollongong wasn't great to him, and that was sort of the downfall, I think, for the rest of the season. So be interesting to see how he goes in the Kawasaki. But Clout, again, I think, as usual, is in the championship picture.
Yeah, Clout grows about 3 inches taller in Supercross season. Doesn't matter what he's on, that just seems to be his MO. He obviously suits that sort of close racing, intense racing, a bit better than he does the outdoors in recent times, at least anyway. So, looking for another big season from Luke Clout. Again, with this many Americans in the field that are going to be front runners, I just don't see Luke getting enough wins. He probably gets another 1 win in the season, kind of like he did last year in Wollongong. But does he get enough of that? I don't think so to be the champ, unfortunately. He's probably going to be on the podium in the overall championship again, just through consistency, and he's a great starter. But I wish I could see him as a champ. Just right now, I just can't see him out doing a Dean Wilson, a Supercross, a Nicoletti, a Harrison.
Yeah, and with all of them, I think I said it last podcast that the racing is going to be close, probably a lot more close than it has been. So therefore, do we see some takeouts, which can change championship pictures? It's going to be interesting to see how that pans out.
Yeah, it does. Now, let's go down to the KTM racing team 450 side of things. They got the number 3, Nathan Crawford, and the number 53, the Brit, Dylan Walsh, jumping in. So I'm curious for Nathan Crawford. He's been building since he got on that 450 last year. He didn't get to do the full Supercross season because he came into it with an injury from outdoors that he missed the first 2 rounds, returned in Wollongong, and then wasn't quite there fitness-wise and obviously racecraft-wise in the shortened series that he got to be a part of. I'm interested to see how Crawford does. He might be our sneaky pick for the best Aussie by the end of this if things go well for him.
Yeah, and it'd be good to see him hopefully through a season as well. He's been pretty fast on outdoors on the 450, and I think that should carry over into Supercross, hopefully.
Dylan Walsh, thoughts on him? I'm kind of a little bit near each way with him. He's a good rider. I'm not familiar with too many 450 rides for him. He's normally been 250 in the AMA side of things. So this might be just a bit of a step up all around for him. I'm thinking he's going to be top 5, but maybe 5th most of the time.
Yeah, I think we just have to wait till after the weekend and see how he's gelled with the bike, how he suits the conditions down here in Australia instead of where he has been racing.
Yeah, just curious on how that one will go. If he's 5 to 10, I'm not surprised. If he's in front of the 5, top, like if he's 3, 4, I'm surprised. So we'll see what happens. All right, some other 450 riders. We've got Zachary Watson returning I believe he's going to be on the Triumph team, but I'm not certain because I think they've got him down as a KTM on the entry list, but he was with that Rising Motorsport Triumph team. He was high up there last year in the results. He was actually just outside the top 10, but we've got a few riders from last year that aren't participating this year, so that would bump him into about 8th overall last season. So he's someone to notice. But then if we jump a bit further down our list, we've got Brad West is going to ride 450s this year. He's going to be the number 24. He's doing his own thing on a Kawasaki West Brothers racing team. Brad West could be a hit and miss sort of guy. He could be really good. He could be inconsistently good and bad.
I'll be interested to see how it goes. Coming back over here, running your own team, a little bit different in all areas. But he could surprise us. But I'd say, probably 8, 15 guy.
Yeah, I think he's an inconsistent sort of bloke. And I think part of that has been his fitness in the past. Like you've seen him run in AMA Nationals, run really high at times, but then not be able to finish off the Moto with a solid result. So obviously these races that we have here for the Australian Supercross are going to be a lot shorter. But yeah, whether that intensity is an issue for him from his fitness side of things, maybe he's just been he has been seemingly quietly working for quite some time on this one. He was at Washougal when I was there and didn't look anything great at that point. But again, bike change, he was in a Yamaha over there. He's on a Kawasaki here, motocross to Supercross, back in Australia, back in his home area, doing his own training. Could be interesting. But privateer-wise, I've got a couple listed here that to keep note of in the 450 side of things. Obviously, the best privateer from last year was Hayden Melross. He was 6th overall in the championship. He's back for another gig on his own run. So he could be an interesting one. Dylan Wills is back this year, but he's with Yamaha this year, not with the Husky or the Gas that he's been on recently. So he's changed from that steel frame over the alloy frame. He does seem to be liking his bike butt, Benny, in the post that he's been talking about on socials at the moment.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see. He's pretty happy with what he's ridden so far. And as you hear a lot of people say, the Yamaha straight off the showroom floor, they're pretty good. So yeah, I'll be interested to see how his program comes together and how well he does.
Now, I did hear, and this is information today because I've been talking to some Yamaha people today, that I did hear that some of the Yamaha privateer guys are going to be on the 26 model bikes that were the media bikes that 10 or so of us rode at the media launch. So I'm hoping for some of these guys, not the bike I rode, I was pretty easy on it. I did put about an hour and a half on it, but I was pretty good on it. But I do feel for some of these other guys, I'm hoping they've changed the clutch plates and stuff for some of these other guys that were out the media day.
I'd say, I teased you the other day at the Yamaha post, all the engines being pulled apart.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll blame you if it plays up.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be fine. All right, so yeah, Dylan's going to be one to watch. He's always going to be up there. If nothing else, he's spectacular, particularly when he drags a peg up the face of a triple in Marvel Stadium like he did last year. So let's hope he does some nasty scrubs, but not quite the peg dragging one that he did in Melbourne last year. Another one on our list, Jack Mather. Luke Zielinski, who we had on the podcast last week, he's going to be an interesting one to keep an eye on. He should be in that top 10 sort of range. Caleb Goulet, he should be in that range as well. He's going to be on a gas for, what is it, something... Oh, I think it's Car Brothers, isn't it? I think he's riding for. I'm going to probably have got that wrong. Apologise for that.
Is it
Elliot, that's the one. Thank you.
Or something? Yeah.
Yep. And then another man who's been on the podcast here, and I was teasing that I wanted his jersey for the studio by the end of the season. Elijah Weesey is going to be on that number 82 Kawasaki. I'm sure he'll have a pretty good-looking bike from a presentation point of view. How fast he'll be. Let's hope he just makes some mains this year.
Yeah, his bikes always stand out. The setup always stands out. It's, you know, where he is in the pits, and some people have just got that touch. I did see today though that he had a bit of a trip to Indonesia a few weeks ago, so it'd be interesting to see how he pulls up from that.
Yeah, that was a bit of obviously a lot of these guys will have had some sort of bump in their preseason with a crash, and just how recent it was and how bad it was might slow a couple of them down in the first few weeks here of the season. But hopefully once the adrenaline kicks in when that first gate drops, he forgets all about that and just goes to work. But Elijah's problem so far in the last few seasons has been just he crashes in the heat races and he doesn't seem to make it through because we haven't had LCQ races. And by the looks of the numbers, and I think if I counted correctly, we had 24 riders for the 450 class, 28 for the 250 class. So I dare say we're not having LCQs again. It's going to be a heat race or bust situation. So let's hope these guys don't drop it in the heat race and blow their chances of making a main.
And just note to Elijah that all cameras will be away.
Maybe. All right, let's get into the 250 side of things. So let's go back up to our championship winning team from last year, Honda Racing Australia. They're going to have the number one back, Shane McElrath. Now, I thought he was going to the World Supercross side of things, but there's been a change in one of our dates from where it was in November to where it now is in October for the third round in Cronulla. We still have one race that is a double up, and that is our final round in Adelaide for the Australian Supercross with the World Supercross round in the Gold Coast. Now, I'm not sure, Benny, what he's planning to do here, but I believe he's running both class, like both series, obviously to a certain point. Depending on, I would say there's a depending on situation going on here where either he's clinched a championship and he sits out one, or he's doing badly in one and he sits out of that to win the other one. I'm curious to see what happens and what plays out here, or if he's actually defaulted just to the Australian Championship, and we might find that out when we get a chance to chat to him, hopefully Friday on Media Day here in 48 hours time sort of thing.
It's probably a pretty hard decision for him. He is defending champion in both series. So it just depends, I guess, which one, he's doing better in as to the one he finishes.
Be interesting too. Maybe you would think, obviously, that's going to be impact just his overall, which pay bonuses are better as well. So maybe he's getting more from one than another. Who knows? I'm just curious how this is going to work out, because I was trying to do the math to see if, like, I looked at the program for Adelaide, because obviously it's a 3-day program down in Adelaide with the supercars, and when was the SX2 class going to run? Well, it's definitely running on Saturday night, so it's not like it's running on Sunday afternoon and he could get a flight, from the Gold Coast late Saturday night to get there to do Sunday afternoon race for Adelaide. That's not the go. They're both running Saturday night. Yeah, there's a half-hour time difference. Oh, sorry, an hour and a half time difference. But that ain't enough to get from Adelaide to Gold Coast and do both races. It's not possible. So, yeah, we'll see what he does there. Other races in the Honda team, and there's a few of them. The number 2, Wilson Todd. He's dropped down from 450 class. He's back in the 250 class. Number 4, Thomas Wood. The number 5, Alex Larwood. And then the number 88, the defending 2-time motocross Australian champ, Brodie Conley, the Kiwi man. Benny, what are your thoughts on this Honda team? As per usual, there's a lot of riders.
Yeah, take your pick, I guess. Hey,
That's pretty accurate, yeah.
Whether you got a favourite number or just a favourite rider, I think they're all, I think Shane's a step above the rest of them, but then they're probably your next quickest guys.
There's a chance that they lock out all the podiums all season long with those guys. Like, it's a small chance, but there's a chance.
There's a chance, and I can see it happening maybe more than once.
Yeah, it obviously all depends on who gets bumped and maybe gets a bad start, but yeah, there's a chance that could happen between McElrath, Todd, Larwood, Connolly. I'm not so much on Thomas Wood, not sure on his previous results, but yeah, Connolly, Todd, and McElrath could be your podium at 4 of the 5 rounds, 3 of the 5 rounds. I wouldn't put it past them for that sort of thing, but. Let's have a look at who's going to be those challenging guys in the other teams. Empire Kawasaki, I've got Reese Budd. He's the only 250 rider for Empire Kawasaki. Do you see Reese stepping up on that green machine?
I guess we would like him to.
Yeah.
He should be. Just depends, how he is with the Supercross on that Kawasaki. Had some unlucky results in outdoors. But yeah, he should be up there.
Remember too, like in outdoors when he got to that Cowie, he got that massive hit from Caleb Barham and actually broke his leg and did some ligaments in his ankle. And I was actually trying to help him out with some rehab stuff for that afterwards to try and keep him on the bike for those couple of final rounds there. So he was a bit, underdone at that point. But if you think back to last year's Supercross, he also had injury then. If you think back to the Supercross the season before that, he also was battling through a back injury. He hasn't had a solid run in recent times, but at least from what I can see since that injury in outdoors when he got hit, he's been injury-free from what I know of. Up until now. So I'm hoping he's had a solid Supercross preseason, and I'm hoping he's gelling with the Cowie, and I'm hoping he's one of those guys that breaks that Honda podium, lockout that we're just sort of talking about.
Yeah, and I'd say a lot of people will remember that horrible crash from Wollongong that pretty much put him out of the series. So from the videos I've seen on his Instagram and that, he looks pretty good.
Yep, agreed.
Just hopefully come time on the weekend, that's it.
Now let's head to the KTM racing team. They've got 2 riders here. One was your surprise winner of the opening round last year. It's the 29, Noel Ferguson. He's switched teams over to KTM this year. He's done the outdoors already on him, so he's well and truly comfortable. And the number 6, Byron Dennis. Do we see much from either of these two? I think Ferguson is a potential podium guy, maybe a race winner, but he's got to get through McElrath.
Yeah, I think if he stays on 2 wheels and keeps it tidy, and there's a few little mishaps in outdoors, as long as he keeps it tidy and performs like he did this year, last year, first round, maybe he's got some good vibes coming back into the stadium from that Saturday night. He should be up there.
Yeah, I think he's got to think he's walking in confident after last year's efforts there in Redcliffe. So hopefully that is a little boost for him heading into that opening one. Now, if we go to the Yamaha side of things, obviously the CDR team is only 450 side of things. They've got their separate setup here. Monster Energy Yamalube Yamaha team is the 250 side of things. I believe 3 riders. We've got the number 7 Jace Cosford, we've got the American import, the number 9 Lux Turner, and the 21 rider Kingsford. Now, I think Kingsford and Turner are the potential mainstays up on the podium. Kingsford's going to be looking for a massive step up in Supercross this year because he's one of those kids that wants to try and get to the AMA.
Yeah, and he's been pretty quick in the previous years. Had some bad luck at times, but definitely, will want to push the Honda guys. He was behind Brody all outdoor season, so I could see him, being thereabouts in Supercross.
Yeah, I feel like he had that little issue as well with an injury. I think it was his thumb or his wrist or something. He had something there end of Supercross last year as well that sort of just slowed that up a bit when he was starting to build on to potentially some podium and maybe that first win. But his outdoor season was pretty good, chasing Conley around and getting a few moto wins at times. So, yeah, looking for him. But I think Lux Turner is going to be a potential surprise packet here. He's not on the level of a Shane McElrath in terms of past history and results-wise in the AMA, but he's on the other end of the age scale. So he's on the up aspect of his career trajectory, and maybe this is where he builds into something a bit more impressive. But he's been in the right areas in the AMA in the last year or so. He could be pretty good down here.
Yeah, I'd definitely put him on the podium. Every weekend at least. I think he's fast enough to be there. He did pretty well in Supercross this year, AMA. So I'm sure that if he's good enough on the bike and used to it by now, he should be there.
Now, the other Yamaha team that we've got is the WBR Monster Energy Yamaha team. Now, they've got the defending SX3 champ who's moved up into the SX2 class, and that's Seth Birchall. Now, this is his rookie season in the SX2, MX2 classes across the different series. I'm not expecting massive things from Seth, but I feel like he could be a top 5 guy occasionally, but he's going to spend a lot of time learning this season from the big boys.
Yeah, I'm sort of more on wait and see how it pans out, because he could come out and surprise us, or it could be sort of exactly where you think and just a learning phase.
I think he's got a lot to learn this year. Like, if I think back, like he sort of got a little bit lucky with some of the errors, let's say, from Jake Cannon last year in that SX3 class, and maybe Jake could have been the SX3 champ, but Seth managed to put it together enough to hold it out. So I don't see him with blistering speed. Maybe he's found that in the off season. I don't know, but I think it's more learning that we're going to see from Seth Birchall this year. If we go to a team that I can't find much on at the moment either, they're not massively clearly listed on the entry list. Raceline Husky. I believe Reed Taylor's racing for them, but he's not on the entry list, and he's not on the list of riders for the 2 different groups that they've split up for qualifying sessions for Group A and Group B. Maybe he's a late entry, I don't know, but I only messaged him a couple of days ago and everything seemed fine. But yeah, not sure too much about what's going on here with this team. Yeah,
I've only seen videos of him training on the Husky. I couldn't tell you much more than that.
Yeah, it's rather quiet, so I'm not sure exactly what's happening there. If I've missed something, if somebody else out there knows it when they hear this, shoot it through, let us know. But obviously we'll find out more on Friday. We're hopefully going to have a bit of a press day podcast as well, where we get some interviews done through, and if we find out any more information, we'll be passing that along then. So yeah, let's see what happens there. In terms of some privateers for the 250 class, and this one I'm not sure, I wasn't even realizing or thinking of, but the one I just mentioned there about that SX3 rider, Jake Cannon, he's in the SX2 class. He's on the entry list on a Cowie, but there's no social posts, nothing of it. I don't know whether maybe he's getting help with Empire, because he was with Bud Racing in Europe for the EMX 250 class. So I just don't know much about what Jake Cannon's program looks like this year.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything either. Haven't seen anything, but those links that you just mentioned could be a possibility.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one as well. Another one, Liam Atkinson was up there in terms of results last year. Caleb Barham running on his privateer Cowie setup. He's going to be in the mix at times. Benny Novak, Campbell Williams, Bailey Malkowitz, Ryan Kohlenberg. These are some names that you'll know from previous events, maybe previously on the podcast here, which is, I think all of them actually have been on the podcast over the last few years. So yeah, they're going to be some of those privateer guys, but they're the ones that are going to be on the chopping block for making the mains. Like I said, there's 28 SX2 riders that are going to be going for 20 gate positions. So 8 riders are going to miss out in this, and there's not probably enough there to be warranting an LCQ. So I don't think that's in the program either. So yeah, going to be a bit more feistiness, let's say, for those heat positions, those final heat transfers.
Yeah, hopefully we get some good battles. You see the LCQs in the AMA, they end in tears for some riders and end in main events for others. So some of that would be good here.
Yeah, let's hope for some fireworks that doesn't cause any issues, but just create some excitement. All right, SX3. Now, we haven't got heaps on these guys here. They do have probably... are they the biggest or no? SX3 is going to be the most riders in a single class in the Boost Mobile Australian Supercross Championship presented by Monster Energy. I got that in. I'm looking for that free Monster can, Benny. But yeah, SX3 is a massive list of riders. Now, there are plenty of names here that you're going to have heard of at times, but I know some of these kids, some of these New South Wales kids from the Motocross State Championships that I did the YouTube commentary for our live stream there. Some of them are impressive. I don't know how good their Supercross skills are. This is where they get a chance to showcase it. But I think there's 2 riders in particular that I'm looking for. One is the American who we had on the podcast 2-3 weeks ago now, Ryder Malinowski. He's going to be down here with that WBR Yamaha team. Obviously with the backing and support of Club MX in the States, who is his American team. And the other one is your SX3 champ from the MX3 champ, I should say. MX, SX, the same thing. SX3 class in the motocross, Cade Kingsford. He's going to be making a bit of a splash here, I'd say, for Supercross as well. So amongst other names, there's plenty of them, Benny. But have you got anyone else that jumps off the page for you, or are those 2 the ones that you're looking at?
No, I think they're the 2 that we'll be looking at. There's could be a surprise somewhere in there. Someone's got to be 3rd. But, yeah, I think those 2 there definitely put your money on every week.
Well, there's a couple other names here, and one I'll shout out, Jack Nunn. He's stepping up from that 85cc class. He was pretty damn good last year on an 85. He was actually too big for that bike last year. He's going to be in this SX3 class. Kai Wood is one that's good, potentially good as well. I'm just scrolling through the list that might be of interest here. Riley Burgess is one that stands out for me. He was super fast in the motocross state titles as a name that I know of. Interesting that they've put Malinowski in Group B in the practice session. So he's going to be not in the fast practice for this first week. But anyway, that's what it is. Some other names that I know, we've got Richie Lawler, Corey Eisel, Raphael Rossiter. They're all from the Motocross State Championships that we called. Jack Burton as well. Look, there's heaps of riders here. I think we're actually closer to 30, maybe even over 30. So I'm not sure how their program's going to work for SX3, but decent field of kids rolling out for SX3.
Yeah, and it's good to see. It's probably shouldn't say this, but those first practice sessions are definitely something to watch each weekend, with the learning of the track and the skills that they're obviously up to the standard of MX2 and 1, but it's definitely something to watch. But to have good numbers, it leaves the sport in a good state for the next few years to come.
Yeah, it does. Hopefully they're getting those skills down where they can actually be consistent on a Supercross track and actually turn up for the next, 5+ years of series and make the series into a massively contested, entry list that then actually allows us to have things like LCQs every year because we've got so many riders, coming to be on the line each and every week. We've got the 85cc class as well. Again, I'm not familiar with heaps of these names. A few of them jump out because of that motocross state titles as well. And from previous years' results, one rider I'll shout out, Tyson Williams. He was okay last year in the championship. He's back. He is one of the older and probably bigger kids on the 85, so maybe his size won't do him any favours, but he should be pretty good. We've got a Townley, not the one you're thinking of, but we've got Jaeger Townley from New Zealand, obviously Ben Townley's son, coming through on the 85. He's going to be here doing that series. Who else we got? We've got a bunch of the New South Wales kids that I know here as well. Oliver Rex, Darcy Houston, Liam Millard, Maxie Harris, Ollie Chandler, Blake Bohannon. Benny, I don't know if you've known this kid. He's a tiny little dude. He rides an 85. He rides a 125 Yamaha for the Yamaha development team. He's pretty quick, but he's a tiny unit. But it'd be interesting to watch him on a Supercross track, I think.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've heard the name.
He was at, I think he was at the, what do you call it, at the Nations on the weekend. I'm pretty sure he was there for that Yamaha Cup or whatever it was called that they had. So he was one of the Australian representatives over there. So a busy few weeks for him.
So if he's, you now have to quick switch and get some Supercross testing in quickly, practice, and then get straight to Sprintless.
But yeah, like these kids, I think they've got in over the 20 odd entries as well. So yeah, pretty well supported series this year compared to the last few years. And I think the numbers are going to be quite up, so that'll be good. Let's talk championship picks. We sort of touched on them a little bit throughout this conversation here, Benny, but let's go 450 class. Who is your pick for 450s? Let's put you on the spot. Go.
Put me on the spot. I'll go Mitchell Harrison.
Ooh, I like it. I'm going to put it on the list here. I'm going to bring it up and laugh at you when you're wrong later on.
That's what we do.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. I think I'm going to go. Oh, look, it's the obvious choice. I was going to say Dean Wilson. I'm going to pick Cedric. I want Cedric Subaros to do it. I don't know why, the Frenchman. I think he's just got something for us here. And I think there's something with Dino's knees. They're just getting worse, let's say.
That's all right. We can go with that.
All right, 250s. Are you betting against Shane McElrath?
I think it's going to come down to McElrath, Connolly, and Turner.
Ooh.
But I'm going to go with Connolly.
Okay. Connolly.
I can see
Brodie Connolly.
He was pretty quick behind Shane last year.
He was learning it too last year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't mind that. I think, look, unless Shane bails, and I'm going to put an asterisk next to this because of that World Supercross bit, but unless he skips out on it, he's your champ. But I just don't know what's happening with that round at the end, and it makes me nervous that he's going to miss that round.
That's why I stayed away from him.
Yeah, it's just something off there. Look, I'm gonna pick one out of left field. I'm going with Ryder Kingsford.
All right.
Yep, be different. All right, SX3. Do you know many here? Who are you going to pick?
I think you'll be on the same page as me. I'm going with Ryder.
Yeah, I'm Ryder Malinowski for sure. I think that is the obvious safe bet. He won the Supercross Next program there in the States, I think, and he's got a few Supercross experiences. He's obviously riding with Club MX, so he's got plenty of exposure to Supercross tracks. Can't see him being beat, to be honest, but anyway, we'll see. He might be like it was Parker Ross the couple of years before that went basically undefeated in SX3. He could be a replication of that, Ryder Malinowski, so let's see how that works out for him. Do we put down an 85 championship list here, or do we just let them work it out themselves on the track and not put any pressure on these kids?
No, I think we let them work it out themselves, and maybe once we see 2 rounds, then we could maybe see how they go and have a pick next week. Yeah, look,
I'm keen to see some of those New South Wales kids to get through, see how they go. But yeah, I don't really have a pick. I don't know well enough any of the others. Maybe Townley's an interesting one to keep an eye on too, but whether he's up to the pace of his brother. I hope he chats on the mic as well as his older brother did. Do you remember those podium speeches from Levi Townley?
Yes, yeah, they're pretty interesting.
They were entertaining, to say the least. All right, Let's get to our track map. Now, let's see if I can break this thing on our stream that we're recording off now because we're not doing it live. Let me see if I can get this to work. It's going to fail miserably, but I'm going to try and play. Dun, 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 dun. I'm going to try and play. Here we go. We're playing the track map from Red Cliffs this weekend. This is the track, Benny.
Yeah, I can't see it at the moment.
Oh, perfect.
So
You can't see nothing. I'll tell you there's a massive water jump. They're going to jump out of the stadium, over the car park, into the water. No, look, it's a pretty interesting track. We've got regular features, but we do have 2 full-length rhythm lanes down either side of the venue. We've got a little 45 turning run where it goes underneath and over under bridge. I noted that we actually have, and we just hit a pause in our playing here, so I'm going to stop it and just change it away from that because you can see where we've got to. I'll go back to the host and my view. But yeah, we've got, I counted 11 whoops, Benny. So we're doing better than the AMA. I've got down 4 bowl turn U-turns, 190 degree and 245 degrees type turns where they said about they're going little bit around the track to get underneath the over-under bridge. So it's a good track. It's not going to be massively long lap times, probably that 45 to 50 tops lap range. But the last corner, they come all the way over they go over the over-under bridge, do a little kink onto the start straight, go all the way down the start straight, and then they've got one of those half-ass berms in the final corner, and it's a U-turn to get over the finish line. So that final corner could be a spicy parking of, block passing central.
Yeah, it's good. I think that they've got the over-under. The 11 whoops will definitely be probably a talking point. They've been in the headlines the last few years.
Do we get Denny Ham having to do some laps on that on Friday on press day just to prove that they were big enough?
I think he proved his point last year.
He did, actually. He did really well with that.
He will just say, hit them and stop being a pussy.
He did a good job. He backed up his words. I will say that, and he proved that it was still possible, and he's 50, I want to say, something like that. So, yeah, look, he was capable. It just proved that you got to go away and practice these things.
Yeah, so I think that'll be a big talking point. There'll definitely be a separator in the 250 class anyway, I think. And between, those top 450 boys, it'll sort of show the difference.
Well, it was this track last year where Dean Wilson had the really good advantage on the first night in the whoops because he was able to blitz. Then they made all those track changes, and then that went away and it was a jump situation. So curious to see if Dino has the advantage both nights if the whoops stay well built. But I think having this whoop set survive press day, race day Saturday, race day Sunday, and not degrade into jumpers by Sunday's main events could be a challenge for our track crew. Well,
the big $1 million question, do we ride press day?
Well, I did bring that up in the group chat, didn't I? If you recall earlier, they've just started the build today. They were putting down the plastic and the ply boards and just bringing in some dirt around, I think it was mid-morning, maybe 10, 11 o'clock-ish. I don't know for sure what time it was. Is 2 days enough to get a track built so that we can actually ride on press day? Because it was kind of lame that we didn't have bikes on track last year at press days.
Yeah, well, we rocked up to Wollongong press day, expecting to ride, and half the track wasn't even built. So
still bringing truck and dogs of dirt into the place when we were there doing the interviews on the Friday morning. So it wasn't great.
Saturday morning, it still wasn't completely done.
Yeah, that was interesting. That was not a good thing. So yeah, we hope that they've got it built because we can't do this again, really, surely.
No, and I think it's good for the media. It's good for the riders to get out there. For the people that do get to ride it, help get some jitters out probably. But yeah, we should be riding tracks on press day. Yeah,
let's fingers crossed that goes to plan because you're right. The main point of all of this, to having them ride on the Friday, is to get some media attention, so you can get some action photos that will draw in last-minute walk-up ticket sales. And we're not going to get that without them being on track. So let's hope they can do something in terms of turn a half a lap, or just hit the finish line double or something. Let's do something. So anyway, let's see where they get to. Each and every week's going to be a different challenge. Weather, venue, probably going to be an issue in Cronulla because of trying to get the soil into the venue through town there, and it's being the first time they've done it. Will there be traffic issues? It's Sydney, could be bad. So yeah, let's see how it all plays out over the few rounds, because it would be really good if we get press day riding at each and every round. All right, watching it, Benny, you're not coming this weekend. I'm going in person. You're not coming, so you're going to have to watch this on TV at home. Do you know how to watch it at home?
I've got, I think I said it in the group chat yesterday, but it will be on Foxtel Saturday night and Sunday afternoon, I think, usually, which will interfere with Bathurst again, like I did last year. But then it is on KO freebies as well, so I've heard. Yeah,
so I've definitely confirmed this, and the announcement should be tomorrow. I haven't seen anything today. AME Ash said that it was going to be out within 24 hours when she sent me that message, which was yesterday evening. So I'm assuming it's tomorrow morning you're going to see the announcement for this officially. But yes, KO Freebies is what they've confirmed is the broadcast partner. So you won't have to pay for it. That's awesome. You can watch it. You can stream it on your phone. Just download it and make an account. Don't have to pay for it. And yeah, you can watch it, which is awesome. But a part of this broadcasting announcement is apparently that it is being more globally broadcast this year. I'm not sure exactly what that means yet. She said the details will be in this announcement. So look for that tomorrow. But that's an interesting piece to see if we're going to get, a bit more notice worldwide.
Yeah, I wonder, just thinking, I can't remember what event was on, but I think it's Dazen bought Foxtel, and that is a streaming service in America, so I wonder if it goes that way.
That was the World Supercross one 2 years ago, I think it was, that they brought that in, or maybe it was beginning of last year. But yeah, that's it's meant to be one of the bigger platforms for that sort of sport streaming, isn't it? So yeah,
I think so. Yeah, because they bought them earlier in the year, I could see that being a possibility.
Yeah, look, if it is, it's great. Any additional places that this is going to, is a plus for our series. It's exposure for our series, so can't be a bad thing. Now, I tried to also find out a little bit about the commentary side of things to see who's going to be on the broadcast. I actually messaged Denny Ham to see what's going on. Now, I got an interesting response, Benny. You're going to love this one. As of today, he's not 100% certain who's on the coverage with him on the weekend. Things have to be ironed out just yet. He said they've got some meetings to be done yet for the TV crew, and he'll know more closer to the weekend, which we're recording this on Wednesday night. I don't think he can get much closer to the weekend and have to be, doing a job and, get prepared for it. But anyway, he seems to believe that it's the same crew as last year, which would make things easier, obviously. He believes it's going to be himself, Justin Brayton and Trent Maher doing the podium on-ground interview style thing. So shouldn't be too much. They've all worked together already. Just interesting the way he put it together, that he was still unsure. I thought that was odd.
Yeah, I think that'd make me a bit uncomfortable if I didn't know. But that's the lineup I've heard. And then you add AC into that in Sydney, Cronulla and Melbourne.
Yep.
So, yeah, I could see that, being the same.
Now, you brought it up. I'm going to have to call you out here. But you did mention that when AC was listed as coming in to Cronulla and then Melbourne, and then when he made the announcement that he was actually going to stay in country between the rounds, you did mention that you might have to find out where he was staying and just introduce yourself once or twice or 50 times.
Yeah, I think the problem is I'm 6 hours away from anywhere important that he would probably stay. So,
how's the saying go? Have car, will travel?
Yeah, no.
Oh, look, you'll just have to make do in Cronulla and Melbourne if you make your way down there too. So, yeah, look, it'd be good to have those extra. Again, he's doing a bit of demonstration riding, not in his prime as such racing, which would have been great, but yeah, nice to have these American influencers joining the coverage, the events. Just brings some credibility to our series as well. Now, Benny, we're going to do some weather updates here in a second, but depending on the weather that you get in this venue, you might want some nice sharp pegs to stand on. Pegs are important in mud events. And I'm bringing this up for a reason. You'll get to it in a second here about the weather, but maybe you just need some super wide new foot pegs for your bike. Maybe you just want some to reduce the boot wear of your soles. Then you need pivot pegs. That's pivotpegs with a Z.com. They've got them for all off-road bikes as well as adventure bikes. So if you're on an adventure bike out there, check them out. They are awesome pegs to use on your motorcycle. Now, Benny, I brought up some weather here. I've got a weather report. Saturday, 21 to 26, mostly sunny. Sunday, 20 to 26, rain. There's a chance of rain. It's expected to build up from 2 p.m. onwards, with the peak being around 5 to 6 p.m., which is exactly main event time. Now, it does say 50% chance, but the line was going this way. So, which for those listening and not watching on the YouTube, which if you're not watching on the YouTube, you should be subscribed. But I was pointing upwards. So, could we get a spanner in the works on Sunday afternoon?
We could. I haven't actually looked at it, so I'm glad you brought it up. But it'll be very interesting. We have had some pretty decent wet supercrosses in Australia, but I'm trying to recall one recently, and I'm struggling. Yeah, I can't really think of one.
So this might be the first for a few people. In terms of, having that, obviously every one of these guys that's racing this event would have raced an event in the mud, but have they raced a supercross if it got to that in the mud, if it rains enough? Now, I don't think it's going to rain enough, but it might just be enough that it's a slick track, which I think they had a little bit of sort of same thing last year, did they not? On the second... Maybe it was it must have been the second night. Maybe I'm just talking out my butt. I don't know. But yeah, it might be an interesting change up if that does occur.
It did sprinkle during the day in Wollongong, and we were meant to get rain that day, and that made it a bit slippery. But I can't remember Redcliffe having any.
Yeah, maybe.
But it is a possibility.
It's possible, maybe. But anyway, might make something interesting. Nothing might happen. Maybe it comes in later. Maybe it doesn't come at all because the weather can change. You got to remember these forecasters don't really get anything right. So let's just see what happens when we get there at the venue on the day. So, all right, that is our Supercross our Boost Mobile Australian Supercross Championship presented by Monster Energy preview of this 2025 season. Now let's talk some upcoming events as we close out this show. Obviously we've got the Supercross at Redcliffs kicking off round 1, round 2 this weekend, 11th, 12th of October. Also this weekend in Gympie, so also in Queensland, the Australian Enduro Championships round 11 and 12. The final rounds of that championship are going on as well. So they'll get some national champions crowned in the Australian Enduro Championship this weekend. The following weekend, New South Wales Off-Road Championships final rounds at Appin, 18th, 19th of October. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be doing the commentary. We're doing live stream for the first time for the enduro side of things, so that will be cool. Then the following weekend, we have Australian Supercross again. It's round 3, 25th of October in Cronulla. And then on the same weekend, so that's Cronulla's the Saturday night. On the Sunday, Australian Postie Bike GP in Cessnock. Something different, something on the motorcycle calendar you should go and check out. I've been there plenty of times. It's a fun event. Actually watched that happen in the rain, Benny. That was an interesting one to watch some guys in full leathers and a Postie bike go ripping around the streets of Cessnock as it's pissing down rain. That was fun. And another one on that same weekend, the 25th and 26th of October. If you're interested in a grass track, You're maybe not interested, maybe you've gotten over jumps these days, but a grass track sounds like your thing. Armidale Motorcycle Club is having their grass track series on that weekend at a property there. So check out Armidale Motorcycle Club's Facebook page for details. But some cool events here coming up in October. That's just October. That's not even November. So there's plenty more of action coming your way. Benny, any final thoughts on this weekend's race or the series as a whole as we come into the season here?
Well, I've got one question for you.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about race numbers last month.
Yep.
Are you happy with Ryder's number? Ryder Malinowski's number?
What number did he take? I haven't actually seen it.
I'll let you look it up.
Hold on. I'm scrolling. He's taken number 9 too. Does the face tell you the answer?
The face tells everything for those listening at home.
Yeah. Look, I think I was vindicated. One of our fellow group chatters, and if you want to join our AlwaysMoto group chat, by the way, we mention it here on the show from time to time, but we do have probably somewhere close to 20 people in that group chat now, all talking. It was originally fantasy talk. We do our fantasy talk because we still are part of the Fast Moto fantasy side of things. But yeah, I was vindicated. One of our fellow group chatters said exactly my thoughts about the system was broken and that, they'll bring back the letters for the international riders. And he quoted a few of them there that, were from the good old days. So yeah, I think I'm onto something here, Benny.
I think you are. And just for anyone listening, if they want to join our Fast Moto fantasy league, just send us a message and we'll get you into that with that starting this weekend.
Yeah, so we'll need to get you into our group chat. We will get the password in there. I might need to update that pinned comment because we'll only have Fast Moto happening for this part of the fantasy side of things because they're the only one doing Australian Supercross. Good work to Troy, and thanks for his time last week on the show. But yeah, fantasy, you want to play it? Jump on board with Fast Moto, jump in our league, have a bit of fun, have a bit of a banter in the group chat. It's always a bit of fun, isn't it, Benny?
Yeah, and you do get some hints and news that you don't see on Instagram and that and stuff behind the scenes. There is some sneaky stuff in the chat as well. So if you feel like you're missing out, you better join in.
Yep, definitely. Now, one final thought that I should just mention here. 5-round championship, 2 rounds at Red Cliffs in Queensland. We've got Cronulla for round 3. Melbourne for AUSX Open for round 4, and then the final round in Adelaide that will be partnered up with the supercars there for the Adelaide 500. Benny, replication of last year's series except for Cronulla being changed out, but it's still a New South Wales round. Hopefully in 26 we can see 6, 7 or 8 rounds, an expansion, but we're solid for another year.
Yeah, I think I'd like to see 1 and 2 different. I don't know where you'd put them, but I think I'd like to see them at different venues. Maybe I'm biased. It's just so we get to see different tracks and and racing on different areas. But yeah, hopefully we get a few more than just the 5.
I think I'm okay with round 1 and 2 being at the same venue for a double header to try and boost up those numbers, particularly in that area. They seem to be well supported in terms of ticket sales last year. It'd be interesting to see if it's the same this year. But I think I'd like to see him do something really simple change with the track from day 1 to day 2 and take out an obstacle or, combine 2 of the obstacles into one, make it a big wall or something in the middle of a section, just so the track isn't exactly the same in terms of flow. So you're not just on repeat from the night before, knowing exactly what to do, where, when, and how.
Yeah, and that's a fair call. People get comfortable and they're sort of going knowing what to expect. But if you change it up, then it can change someone's night completely. Yeah,
just do something slightly different because I think it will be a little bit, not boring, but just somewhat familiar the next day, and you'll be like, I feel like I've saw this already, So yes, it's in the day, not the night, but just do something different with the track. And maybe they're planning to do that. Maybe they just haven't mentioned that already, and we'll find that out. But yeah, maybe they hear from us and they think that's a great idea. We should just take out those 2 jumps, push them all together and make one wall in the middle of a section just to make it a bit harder. So let's see what they do.
Yeah, hopefully they're listening so you get that free monster.
Well, look, I'll keep you informed.
All right.
There'll be a photo. I'll be holding a can, Anyway. All right, that's our show. That's the preview show. Good luck to the riders that are competing in this upcoming championship. We'll be talking about it plenty here on the show. We'll have we'll go for our pre-race show, which will be at our media days. We're going to be at the first 4 of these for the Australian side of things. So we'll have one at the pre-show. We'll try and have a post-race show. Not sure how I'm going to go on round 1 and 2. We might just have to combine those into one show. See how much I can get done in the night and the morning before round 2. So we'll have post-race show, and then we'll have our weekly show here, trying to be Wednesday night. I'll try not walk into traffic and actually get the live thing working, but we'll see what happens. But yeah, plenty of coverage on AlwaysMoto coming up over the next few weeks for the Australian Supercross Championship. Benny will be with us. We'll get some rider interviews as well. So we'll have plenty of content along the way. But that's it. Thanks for you guys and girls out there for watching and listening. If you haven't watched it, you only listened to it, well, subscribe to the YouTube or subscribe to the Spotify or iHeartRadio. Benny, we're on iHeartRadio. Do you know that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, we are. Now. We are on there. So yeah, subscribe to whichever one you're not on. Like it. Leave a rating on the app for your podcast player if that's the case, or the thumbs up on the YouTube. Check out our written articles. We've got stuff that we put up over on fullnoise.com.au. But that's it. Thanks to the show sponsors, TechnicMotorsport.com, Duramoose, Pivot Pegs, Competitive Edge Performance, and Tech167 3D Printing for the show support. Discount codes. We've got discount codes. They're in the show notes, in the bios. Check them out. Thanks to the wife and kids. They're going to be supporting us this week at the show, at the races as well. So hopefully you'll see them in our nice new shirts. And we'll see you at the track.